Hey guys, what is up? Andaull here today, bringing you guys another video. So in this video, we will be doing part 2 on that creepypasta I did in the last video, the one that's called Lost Episodes Can Still Be Found. Well, this is part 2 to that, so I hope you guys enjoy this. If you guys do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button below with the notification bell on to be notified every time I post a video. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into this story. A few months went by with no response. During this time, I researched as much as I could about lost episodes. I found out about another alleged lost episode of the Flintstones. The story behind this episode was much like other lost episode stories. A special episode of the show aired on an otherwise unused television channel and had gory and surreal content. The main difference between this story and the others was that this one had a somewhat credible outside source. The original forum post had a link to a digitally archived local news article from 1979. The FCC had received complaints from dozens of people claiming to have seen this episode. The complaints came from the Lake Kabetogama region of Minnesota, with most originating from a couple of specific lake resorts. The incident was locally known as the Kabetogama broadcast. I decided the next logical step was to contact the FCC for more details. They responded within a week saying that unfortunately they were not at liberty to give out such information. At that moment, I considered filing a Freedom of Information Act request, but decided to take a different route. One of the two lake resorts most heavily involved with the incident was still in operation. I scheduled a vacation from work, and a few weeks later I was on my way to the lake. Kleck's Cove was a collection of 15 cabins, a bar restaurant, and a small boat dock with boats available for lease. I had rented an old A-frame unit and planned to stay for 2 weeks. The resort was a nice place to stay. I spent a few days fishing and seeing local attractions. I fell in love with a group of regulars who fished at the resort every year. We went on several boat trips before I had enough courage to ask the oldest of them about the broadcast. Oh, that funny thing? I actually just missed out on that whole thing. It happened a week before I stayed here in the summer of '79. I heard a lot about it though. You'll want to talk to Ed about it. He was there. He was referring to Ed Kleck, the founder and proprietor of Kleck's Cove. I had considered asking him about the broadcast before, but wanted to feel out the locals first. However, at this point, I decided I was being overly cautious and chose to follow the man's advice. Mr. Kleck was in his late 70s, but his memory was still sharp. He liked to tell stories, and I took advantage of this by starting a conversation with him about the history of the resort and the lake. This got him going for a couple hours before I brought up the broadcast. Now, why do you want to know about that? He asked. Seeming taken aback, I told him I had read about it on the internet and what the story said. He shrugged and said, "Oh well, that's pretty much what happened. Nothing much else to tell, really." I asked if he had seen the episode, to which he responded that he had caught the end of the broadcast after being told about it as it was happening. He said he saw Barney die a horrible and bloody death in some Fox Stone Age contraption, but didn't remember much else. He was reluctant to continue the conversation much further, but assured me that the incident was very real indeed. I pondered all I had learned on my drive home. I had been left with more questions than answers and didn't seem to be getting any closer to tracking down the Aristocats' lost recording. The more I learned, the more new questions came up. Was the disturbing Aristocats version I had seen connected to the broadcast or the alleged Batman and Robin episode? Or was I making connections where there were none? Did that person on YouTube who claimed to have seen the Batman Lost episode really see it? Or had he just been trolling me? Surely all these claims couldn't be coincidental, but there was no explanation for the existence of these lost episodes. While I was churning all this information over in my mind, I didn't notice the vehicle behind me until it was right up on my bumper. I swerved as it made contact and careened into a ditch. The other car drove on without stopping. I was injured. In fact, my airbag hadn't even deployed. But I sat in shock for many minutes afterward. When I finally got my bearings, I called 911 and told them my location, based on the nearest mile marker. It took about 45 minutes for a state officer to find me. I told the police what had happened, but wasn't able to provide details such as the make and color of the car that had hit me or the license plate. I did not tell them what business I was on or my lingering suspicion that the incident had to do with my investigation of the broadcast. Despite this experience, I decided to stick my neck out a little more. This was getting serious, and I needed a clear picture of what I was up against. I had an acquaintance in the FBI who owed my family the favor of a lifetime. I convinced him over dinner that I paid for to look into the Lost Media Group for me. A few weeks later, he had a document for me. It was an analyst report containing all the information the FBI had on this mysterious group. The information known by the Bureau about the Lost Media Group is so scant as to strongly suggest that the group does not really exist. This report assumes the existence of the group for investigative purposes. However, most of the information contained herein is more speculation than confirmed fact. Most of the testimony concerning the LMG has been hearsay and off the record. The exact nature, size, organization, origins, and goals of the LMG are mysterious. It is said to be a multinational organization that has embedded in multiple entertainment industries and is most active in cities with large concentrations of entertainment companies, such as Los Angeles, New York City, Atlanta, Toronto, and Tokyo. Membership is by invitation only and is rumored to include a number of wealthy entertainment executives and financiers. Secondhand informants report that the group uses a variety of criminal tactics, including bribery, blackmail, and violence, to prevent the dissemination of information concerning them. It is speculated that the LMG uses other crime syndicates such as proxies for their operation in order to obscurate investigations into their activities, and that they mislead people into believing they are more powerful than they really are. Claims that the group possesses supernatural powers are likely the result of selective disinformation campaigns. The Lost Media Group first came to the Bureau's attention during the 1970s, but is said to date back to the early 1900s. During the 1920s and 30s, an urban legend emerged concerning mystery reels, which were said to be altered versions of syndicated movie theater reels that differed significantly in content and tone from the standard copies. The Bureau believes that the lack of public awareness of entertainment industry standards and copyright contributed to the fact that such works were not reported to the media or law enforcement. A recurring theme in testimony concerning mystery reels is that they often contained violent content that was more extreme than mainstream theater content, and several former members of censorship boards have claimed to have received complaints about them. Witnesses also claimed that the mystery reels based on live-action films featured different actors, and that these actors in retrospect seem to have been coerced. One witness claimed that an actor in a silent mystery reel appeared to be saying "help me" before being silenced by someone off screen. These claims have led the Bureau to believe that the LMG may have participated in trafficking in human beings. The group is also rumored to have been involved in a production and distribution of snuff films, though there is little evidence to support this claim as there is to support the very existence of snuff movies. Other crimes the Lost Media Group is suspected to be involved with include media piracy, drugging of actors, trafficking in endangered species for use in film, and recording executions for other criminal organizations. I pondered over the report, membership by invitation only, well-funded, well-connected, must be well-organized. Yet their activities seemed nothing short of bizarre. Why would a group with this kind of resources this group apparently had, unlike the FBI, I was beginning to take the existence of the Lost Media Group for granted at this point, not spend them on more traditional and profitable criminal activities. Why would that many people commit so many resources and risk so much just to make movies? There was no way such a sophisticated syndicate could make enough money off of a simple piracy to be considered profitable. And the other crimes listed in the report would seem beyond the scope of expertise of a cabal ostentability, comprised of people in the entertainment industry. Was it not about money? An ideological or religious motivation, perhaps? Certainly it didn't fit any religion I could think of, and it didn't seem like they were interested in influencing elections. Their motives must be subtler. They had a message they wanted to send, or an influence they wanted to create, using the power of mass media, and were willing to dabble in any number of crimes toward whatever their ultimate end was. Alright, so there you guys have it. Part 2 of Lost Episodes can still be found. Part 3 hopefully later this week, and maybe beginning of next week we finish this whole series out and we move on to another creepypasta or another horror themed video. With that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you guys have, drop a like, hit that subscribe button below with the notification bell on to be notified every time I upload. Leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me what your favorite part of this story was, and I will see you guys in the next video. This has been Andaull. Peace.